Moving slow.
It's one
So
of
am
those.
I. I overslept, so I'm like completely behind.
Madam Mayor, it is 9:02 and we are live.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the, what day is it? Welcome to the September 6th.
September 6th.
Thank you. We don't know what day it is anymore. Pre-agenda meeting for the city of Lake Worth Beach. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Betty Resch,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sarah Maliga is absent. Commissioner Christopher McVoy,
Here?
Commissioner Mimi May,
Here.
and Commissioner Ronaldo Diaz is also absent.
Okay, great. So as we know, these are sort of casual, formal conversations. The first thing I want to do is mention tonight we have an opening at the Hatch. And I think it's Cottage Life opening, so that's at 5 o'clock, not 6 o'clock. So it'd be nice to see everybody there. I have one thing I just want to quick bring up. Erica Whitfield of the school board member and I were talking. We'd like to have a proclamation. Our principals work so hard in our schools. So I'd like to have a night of do a proclamation for the hard work of the principals of the schools that we have in Lake Worth. And I'd like to do that at the next meeting. I missed the September 17th deadline, but I think I did. Did I miss the September?
You did. It publishes today, so it'll be on the
Okay. All right.
October 1st meeting.
Okay. So I'd like to, if everyone agrees, I'd like to have that on October 1st. Any problems with that?
The only thing that I would have it doesn't matter to me, but May 1st is Principal's Day.
Yeah. Okay, but she kind of wants to do it at the beginning of the year, I think, we can do it again in May.
Okay.
We can do something in May, but I didn't realize that May 1st is Principal's Day. So any objections to that from anybody? Hearing no objections.
No.
Chris, you're okay. No problem. Chris,
Yeah.
You're sort of stone-faced. Okay. Okay. So does anybody have any burning things they want to talk about this morning?
I did want to get something on the agenda as well.
Okay.
The deputy who was the what is it called when you answer the phone for 911?
Dispatch.
Thank you.
Dispatch.
The dispatch deputy who answered the phone and it was the hang up, but she didn't give up and she continued and she sent out the car and really helped the woman who was being assaulted. I would like to give her a challenge coin.
Oh, okay. And that was in city, right? That was here.
Yes, that was in the city limits.
Okay. Any objections to that?
No, that's fine.
So
Okay.
we could do that on October 1st as well.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So we've got two things on October 1st. We're trying to keep it. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to put on the agenda for October 1st? Okay. Chris?
I'll have some items to discuss. We can discuss whether it needs to be an agenda item or what's the best way when we get to it.
Well, we'll start with you then, while we're still have time.
Okay. I have several things on my list to talk about today. And apologies that I wasn't there at the last one. That was when Karim and I accompanied the new student to Notre Dame University. So it just didn't.
That was great that you did that you brought him up there. That was wonderful.
It was really good experience and very interesting to see a place that's both an institution of higher learning and one that is committed to sort of a moral principled approach to things. And it was quite interesting to experience. Extremely friendly, very helpful, everybody. It was quite amazing.
Great.
Yeah, it was, and a very interesting program that the scholarship that she received. So glad to do it. Okay, we have, and I'm a little unclear of the details, but we've had a system for a number of years now, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, of moving our one of our commission meetings and turning it into a town hall and moving them around the city. I believe we've done District 1, District 2, and District 3. To my knowledge, we have not done District 4. Do we want to go ahead and schedule that and get that going so that we've moved our way over the course of however many years it's been all the way around the city?
I thought we changed that we were gonna do, on the even years, we were gonna do the even districts, and the odd years, we were gonna do the odd districts. So
Yes.
yes, that would mean that 2 and 4 would be this
Right.
year.
Okay, well, yeah, let's, 4 is the missing one at this point, so it seems like we ought to, and it's like I said, it's been a number of years since we did the first one, so we're a little slow getting around to all the districts.
So we have to figure out where to do it, but we can do that.
Yeah.
Do
Definitely do District 4 before the end of the year, absolutely, because then
Yeah.
next, in the first 6 months, we can do 1, and the second 6 months, we can do 3, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Excuse me, City Manager Brown has his hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's hard. There you are.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Based on our current schedule, I would suggest either end of October or beginning of November for setting up this D4 meeting before we get too close to the holidays.
Yeah,
That,
good idea.
That schedule works for everyone. We'll start looking at dates, and I'll get with Commissioner Diaz as far as location. And keep in mind that depending on where we go, obviously these have not been recorded because depending on where we have it, we don't always have the setup to live stream these.
Right.
So I just wanted to make sure everyone remembered that because there was a conversation before as to why are these not being recorded.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was why. So
Okay, and yeah, November. Yeah, good idea to thank you, Jamie, for reminding us that the holidays are coming upon us after we do all our meetings. It's gonna be busy 2024. Okay, great. Yes,
I have several items. Should I keep going?
sure. Sure.
Okay. As I think we're all aware, the state legislation that went through regarding homeless goes into effect October 1st. I was wondering if we could get an update before the 1st on what is the city's plan, what is PBO's plan, District 14 in the city? What are we thinking of as we get closer to that October 1st deadline? So I guess an update, I don't know if it has to happen right on the spot now, but I think it'd be good for us to know what we're going into before the October 1st deadline gets there.
Statute, but yeah, I mean, I've asked, I talk about this at our one-on-ones as well. It's like, what are we, and no one seems to have the answer, but if anybody else, if somebody wants to chime in, I'd love it.
yeah,
I mean, the county doesn't seem to have an answer. No other cities seem to have an answer. It's a
Fort
mystery.
Lauderdale's been talking about it. I see it, and I've heard some proposals, but they're obviously a bigger city with different resources.
And Commissioner, in my conversation with the Captain Carn, my goal is to have him actually attend the September 17th commission meeting to speak about this exact same thing.
Great.
So ahead of October 1st, we kind of have an idea, at least from the PBSO side, since we still haven't really gotten like a definitive answer from the county as to what's going to happen on October 1st. At least within the city, we'll know what PBSO is planning on doing based on that new law. So that is what I'm planning on for the 17th.
As
Thank you.
usual, City Manager Brown is several steps ahead of us. Thank you. And I'll bet Troy had something to do with it too, so thank you both. Tree canopy, we have talked quite a bit at the commission, and I think there's, as far as I can tell, there's uniform agreement that we would like to improve our tree canopy in the city. And for me, that means both planting more trees, but also taking better care of the ones that we have. And the two big concerns that we hear about are hat racking or actual cutting down of trees. And I think we all are aware the unfortunate thing about cutting down trees is once you cut them down, they're sort of down.
Good point.
It's not like you can come and, shake your finger and say, well, you shouldn't have done that. That doesn't do much. So I'm looking for consensus from our commission at the policy level that we ask staff to prepare just an outline, not a full document, but an outline of a document of approaches to protect our existing trees and to increase planting. So if there's consensus from the rest of us to actually take this, our discussions of policy, which I think we have agreement on, to take it to the next step, ask staff to just draft a little bit of an outline that we can then look at and say, yeah, that looks like it goes in the direction we're interested in, or no, could you make some adjustments here? And then go from the outline eventually to something, more of a full-on policy. So I'm looking to see, is there consensus to ask staff to move in that direction?
I have no objections. I mean, I'm tree girl, like everyone knows. The issue that, Chris, that I think we face, though, is the educational part of it. People either don't know, or they don't know that there should be a consequence if they do it. So I think there should be, we have the rules in place, don't hat rack, but I think, do you have any suggestions for how to get it out to the public?
What I'm suggesting is that, we're all tree girls or tree boys on the commission, I think. Let's now take that, have staff work, we're the policy people. Let's ask staff to draft us an outline, and education can certainly be a part of that outline. And what I would be looking for in the outline is goals, approaches, and milestones for how we measure progress toward those goals, as well as the approaches of how we do it. So education can certainly be one, but then build in some milestones of, all right, how have we reached people? Does it seem to be having any effect? And I don't think it can be only education. I think we need policies that might relate to certification programs for who is doing tree work in the city. Do they have to have some sort of a license? Do they have to have some sort of training? I'm open to approaches, but I think let's try to get something on paper so we're actually moving from being tree boys and girls to actually doing something as a city.
I think I don't disagree with you. I think the first step would be we do have ordinances about trees. So I think the first step would be to have it communicated to us, what are the tree cutting ordinances? And what do we have on the books right now? Because there is stuff on paper, but it's sitting in the ordinances, deep in the ordinances. So if we could bring that forward, and then from there, break it down into chunks that are identifiable, or that we can figure out. I mean, hat racking is illegal. It's in the ordinances. You're not supposed to hat rack.
And that's where putting ideas on paper of what are the goals.
I'm not arguing with you. Yeah.
What are the milestones? And part of that outline could say, hey, we have these rules. The general consensus in the city of tree boards, or of people interested in trees, or of the commission, is this isn't working. Or it is working.
Because people don't know.
Yeah. And exactly, but that's where you start putting it on paper. Okay, the weak point is people don't know, or the weak point is enforcement, or the weak point is the folks actually doing the work don't know, whatever it is. Let's start that process of coming up with a written approach.
I wonder if we could. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And it certainly that draft outline might very well have a paragraph that mentions these are the rules that are applicable that we already have in place, and another paragraph that mentions, is it working, is it not working, and then you go into your milestones and approaches and goals.
I'm thinking maybe, I mean, that's a lot of work for staff, but I'm thinking this might be something that we could get help from the tree board on. Those are the people that are most, officially interested in that. I'm wondering if we couldn't ask, bring that idea to them and have them to start to work on that. Jamie, what do you think about that?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Because they could start. They could start with the concern. We do have concern. Obviously, we all have concerns. I get lots and lots of emails about another tree gone on North Lakeside or North Palmway. So I think that would be a good place to start. Yeah. Okay.
Then let's give them direction that to come up with a draft outline that includes goals, approaches, and milestones, and any suggestions they have for getting, yeah, that would be under the approaches.
Yeah, I don't know about milestone. I mean, all right, they can, I don't know what milestones you could do, how many trees have not been cut down. But it's, I mean, and again, I am just so frustrated with everything that we do. We have these ordinances and we need to let people know how to do it. So that's why I focus on that, Chris, because we can have all the rules in the world, but if people don't know about them, or policies, and if people don't know about them, they're just words on paper. So perhaps the tree board would be, maybe there's a tree board meeting coming up, I think.
Okay, that I'm fine with starting there. It does need to move to staff at some point from the tree board, but that's perfectly fine to start there.
Okay.
A similar thing, we've also talked a lot about, and I think we all hear a lot on the commission about the city doesn't look as good as we would like. And so I lumped that under city beautification, for lack of a better term. And we've talked about that, I think, as a commission, a certain amount that there's generally an agreement that we could look better. Again, I'm looking for consensus to move it from talking about it to, again, a draft outline from, I would do it from staff unless there's some other suggestion of who should do it instead, but a draft outline of what might an approach look like for a city beautification program. And what I'm suggesting, I've suggested for a long time, is it should be very multi-pronged, where residents have certain responsibilities, landlords have certain responsibilities or involvement, if you don't want to call it responsibilities. Different city departments have things that they take on, and that we spell out what this program would look like and use it, code, of course, and use that spelled out approach to help encourage residents to do their part, because we can say city is doing this part, encourage city staff to do part of it because residents and PBSO are doing that part. I think it's very important that it have that. So I'm looking, again, let's, if everybody is in agreement, let's try to move it to a draft outline. I'm not saying a full-blown program, but just an outline of what a program might look like, and then bring that back to us as a commission. We've indicated the policy, but now let's turn it into some concrete approach to get there. So
Mimi has a, okay.
I'm looking for consensus to provide that direction to staff and a draft outline can be, 2 pages, 3 pages. We're not talking huge. And I think draft is very important. Let's get some ideas on paper that we can then look at. They can be emailed to us or whatever, and we discuss them at some point.
Yeah, and it's got to be, we have talked about this before, and it's got to be a multi-level approach. Mimi, Ms. May?
Yes, I absolutely 100,000,000% agree with you, Commissioner McVoy. That's one of my number one priorities, and it's what I'm hearing from constituents everywhere.
Absolutely.
I do want to, and maybe I'm putting too much emphasis on next Monday night's meeting, but I'm really interested in hearing what each of the, like when we do the community sustainability meetings, I want to hear from code what they feel like their responsibility is in any of that. And then, we can talk about, because is it parking? Is it code? Is it PBSO? Are people supposed to do it themselves? When we talk about clean streets, clean sidewalks, I think you're absolutely right that I think that it's a lot of finger pointing in other directions. Hold on. It's their job. It's their job. It's their job. So I want to hear first when we go through the overview, because right now the only things that we have on the backup for that is the basically a flow chart of who's in charge of what and the resumes of the people who are in that department. So I'm hoping that there's going to be slide deck, some sort of slideshow from each department giving us a process. If from the permit department, Joe wants a permit, this is what he does, this is where he goes, this is what he gets, this is how it happens. Or Sally has part of the code department and Sally's got this little district. She goes around all day and she does this and she sees this and she does this. So if we can start with what the departments understand as their roles, I think that we can start to then move towards, okay, yeah, that is your role, or maybe that isn't your role, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with you that we need this. I want to hear what they say first before then we say, go back and figure this part out. But I absolutely agree with you.
Well,
And I
I-
think, let me just, if I can, I think a large part of this is, again, it's my drum this morning, is education, is, you know, when we go to a neighborhood and clean up that neighborhood, I mean, it's a nice gesture, but why are we cleaning up somebody else's neighborhood? Why can't we raise the consciousness in that neighborhood of cleaning it? I mean, take care of your neighborhood. You know, that like we talked about this before, you know, there was a give a hoot, don't pollute, that it becomes a city project. It becomes a city overall.
It can go along with what he said before. It's
Exactly, right.
clean and
yeah.
green. Keep coming back to clean and green.
Right, that's it, right, clean and green.
whatever name comes up with, I think the importance is that there is a written plan at some point. Well, that's not what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking just for an outline of what a plan might look like. And that plan, once it arrives, is clear. Here are the different players,
Yeah.
including residents, including this department, that department, including whatever. And here's what we are thinking of for each to take on.
Right.
I think, you know, we've had neighborhood cleanups for as long as I've been in the city, 25 years, and they do a little, but as the mayor says, you know, that isn't fully working. And I think for it to work, it has to be building some sort of momentum of we're all in this to make the city better. And I hear Commissioner May, definitely let's hear what we hear on Monday to understand that department. But I think that doesn't, we still need from the management level of the city, and we need to give them direction that this is a priority. Let's put this plan together.
Yes.
What we're going to do so that people can, you know, we can point to it. This is what different parts, this is why we're asking you as a resident to do this part. We are asking our staff to do this other part. And
Right.
if we all collectively do some, we likely will have a happier place for all of us. And that's a reasonable goal. So I think if there is consensus, I would encourage that we start with an outline, you know, start small.
That's a great idea. My timing is a question. We have a very, as we all know, Monday is our meeting on.
Monday's a lot.
Yeah, Monday's the lobbying meeting.
Lobbying,
The
right, okay.
16th is the community sustainability.
Right, that's what I thought, okay.
Say, you know, maybe I would not ask for anything before October 15th because that's all WMODA.
Exactly, and we've got the budget workshop, you know, the final budget hearings, we've got WMODA, we've got so many things coming up. So I'm just saying, like, let's bear in mind that the staff is a little cramped right now, but at the end of October, maybe things will lighten up.
Yeah, like, you know, I agree with you, Chris, and I don't think we should push it off as far. What do
Right.
you, what's reasonable?
Yeah, I
Jamie's, Mr. Brown's hands up, but he's muted. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so, I'm going to attend the next, Tree and Landscape Board meeting.
Right,
Which I
me too.
believe is next, Thursday.
It's the 12th.
Yes, I believe it's next Thursday, correct? Yes, next Thursday.
We have a that night.
What's that?
We have a budget meeting that night.
Oh,
At
that
5.
is hearing number 1. And I believe some type of meaningless game that you may or may not be attending, Commissioner May.
Yes, some meaning. may not be.
I will get with Dave McGrew as well as the tree board and start this process. And like you said, Mayor, we do have a lot coming up in the next month or so here, but we'll start putting stuff together.
So that's for the tree canopy one.
Oh, the clean,
Then separate from that is, the tree canopy might be a component of that, certainly,
Yes,
but not the full on.
cleanup is different.
correct.
No,
We got
and assistant community, whatever, Troy, I forgot your title. But Troy had some great ideas too, where he said, we could go to the point where we hire, so we have some unfunded positions in the city right now. So if we took some of that money from the unfunded positions, hired temp workers and gave them a section of the city and said, let's clean this section. Then we start with a clean section. Now, I understand the frustration with that because they say like the next week you go back and it's trashed again.
Right.
So we should think we have some financial resources though to once we get the plan in place to say, okay, it's like when your mom cleans your room and then you have to like talk about how you're gonna.
And I think that the key piece, that's not a bad idea to try and start out with a clean. It is motivating. It's much easier to keep a house clean if you start clean than to start from a big pile. I have familiarity in this area, at least at the home level. But I think it's so important when mom says, I'll clean your room, but you got to hold on to it. That's the plan that people need to know. Okay, we're going to help jumpstart this, but there's a plan for all of us to participate.
How do we and go ahead, Mimi.
No. I mean, like I was thinking of the cleaning the room thing. Like you have to help mom clean. You have to have some buy.
Yeah.
But get it to a point where it's clean. Because I understand, like I've talked to Jamie about this before. And even in public works, there's the dumping. They go pick up the dumping stuff and the next day it's back. And that's frustrating. But that shouldn't preclude us from being proactive.
And where writing down a plan helps us say, okay, what are things that are working? What seem to be the problems?
Right.
What do we have in place now? Is that working? No, yes.
Right. Right.
But having an overall plan, I think, can be something that and I suspect Tiana and the public information officer can be quite helpful in some of this on both of them.
Because again, it's information and communication. We can have all the plans we want, but if we can't tell the people, I just beat on that because every component, everything that we talk about, whether it's code or different things, getting the information to the people is always the challenge.
That kind of brings the things
I know that Troy, Mr. Perry, has been working on a texting application for the city that'd
be great.
He's familiar with from Riviera Beach. That's quite effective. I know that the Guatemala Maya Center has a very effective program, including multilingual, and they regularly push out information. So if other organizations can do it, we ought to be able to figure out how to do that. And that's why we just hired a public information officer. That should help. So that's a component to how to get the plan out. I think if a plan is comprehensive enough in terms of multiple stakeholders, clear goal, clear way of assessing how we're doing, I think the word would get out on that, both at the level, there is a plan. We are actually aiming as a commission to get this to this thing. And the word would spread on something like that if it's comprehensive enough.
And I think part of that is, I hate to say it, the street sweeper.
Yep.
And public works, picking up stuff, not leaving stuff behind. The street sweeper, I don't know how it works. It seems like there's a randomly drive around the city, and if there's a clear street, they take it. I don't know how we do that. We don't have a schedule, and I understand there's challenges to that, but I just think that department needs to be part of this little conversation.
Sure.
So, all right, good.
Works has to be part of it. We're talking about cleaning the city.
Yeah, that would certainly be it.
I'm known for stating the obvious. What can I say?
Yeah,
it's my job.
My last one is, I think all of you know that I have a strong interest in good governance and best governance, best practices for good governance. And
As
I
if we don't all have that same interest, but I just want to put that in there. Go ahead.
think I'm pretty confident that we all do. It's a thing of mine. I still have my bag from the good governance 6 months training I did a while back. That was excellent. One of the things we had talked about in that line a while back was having our city attorney's office give us some sort of presentation on good governance, civility, and Robert's rules. And we talked about it at one point, but I don't think we ever really followed up on that. And if there's consensus, I would like to. Part of the reason for including Robert's rules is that a number of residents have drawn to my attention that we say we follow Robert's rules, but people who know about Robert's rules indicate that we don't. We've had some situations where a commissioner calls the question. Well, it's very clear in Robert's rules that you can only call a question when you have the floor. If you do not have the floor, you can't do that. You also have to get a second if you're going to call a question. So we clearly are a little bit, we need a little bit of help on that one. We also, if a commissioner has the floor, you can't set arbitrary time limits that some commissioners get X amount of time and others get different amount of time. In fact, if you have the floor, you have the floor. So I think I would like to ask that we, it doesn't have to be the city's attorney office, it could be somebody else. I don't know, somebody to come give us some training on Robert's rules, to give us some suggestions on how to run our meetings as civilly as possible, and any other good governance practices for the elected board that somebody is aware of and can share. I would like us to add that to the list of things that we do, if there's consensus for it.
There was, I think I shared with everybody, I watched yesterday an hour-long webinar about Robert's rules and handling meetings and stuff. It was very interesting, and it's recorded. It's available online. It wasn't strictly this is Robert's rules, but it was insightful. It was good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we have an expert on a city attorney. I don't know, Elizabeth, if you feel like you're an expert on Robert's rules. There are people that do that. We can maybe maybe we could find somebody that actually does that. There are people that lecture on Robert's rules, so maybe we could look for that. But again, not a bad idea. I think
We
that
will
we all.
work-
I think,
We'll work with Mr. Brown and Mr. Perry and come up with a plan.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. May?
I forgot my pad of paper at home that had my ideas on it, so
Me
we're not,
too.
so
Mine's in the office.
we're getting what's coming off of the top of my head. And what's coming off the top of my head, and I don't know the answer to this, is the website.
Mhm.
And when was the last time we went out for like an RFP for people to come and offer their services for our website?
We have never done an RFP for the website. It's
Okay,
always been done in-house by IT staff and the webmaster.
so I was thinking about, I don't know if you guys got that email yesterday, but there was an email that we got from some company, and it just got me thinking about, it was they make cities' websites, and it talks about how to communicate and the best practices for getting information to residents. And let me look and see what it was called. But I'm just wondering if we have the best resources and we're doing it right. I just think it can be better. Am I the only one that thinks this?
No, I've often said stuff about the website. It's gotten better. I mean, they have improved it. I think we need to have more on it. I want it to be, and I mean, the idea of the texting around is wonderful. But I would like to see some improvements to it. I don't know about switching people, but I don't know how to go about it. But I do agree that it could be certainly be improved more for sure. I'm just looking for that email.
Oh, it's from Capital Strategic Solutions, and it just, and it, not necessarily it's not
Right,
them, but I mean, it was like, custom design websites that reflect the identity of the community. When we open up the website and it's a Halloween contest, it doesn't even say welcome to Lake Worth Beach.
mhm,
I mean, that's great that we have a Halloween contest, but that's not the first thing that people need to see, at least in my mind.
yeah.
Um,
Actually, with our new PIO, I'm wondering if she would have insight to that as well. We could get,
or
Yeah.
is this, we need a separate company for that, leisure services makes the decisions on? I don't know. I don't know how it works, but it's gotta be better.
it's hard to get stuff. It's hard to find. I was looking, and I was answering a question for a citizen the other day about the ordinance, and the link to the ordinance, the Muni code seems to be gone from the,
Yeah, and if
But-
you want to make a report for, there's
Right.
dumping on 6th and 2nd or whatever, you can't do that.
well, you can, but it's really hard to find. And it's
Yeah.
especially hard on the,
If you
on the phone.
Betty, you can't. If you go to Public Works, it says to report something and it's only about the streets. And then it says if
Right,
you
okay.
report something else, click here, but that's a dead link. So, I mean,
Oh.
and talking about this in my one-on-ones, but I,
Mhm.
at some point we need to bring it up with all of us so that we
Yep.
can start like Mr. McFoy just did. Like, okay,
Mhm.
these are the things we've been thinking about. I've been talking about the same things you've been talking about in one-on-ones. So things need to start to happen.
Okay. Let's do it.
I agree. The things that I would look for on the website are that I agree, that should be a welcome to the city of Lake Worth. That seems like a good start. But that it has useful stuff. And I think the one that comes to mind to me, which, I'm not saying that it doesn't, but two that come to mind to me. One is a really easy, quick way to, with like one or two buttons and workable on the phone would be helpful.
Right.
Is today the green garbage day, or is today the green vegetation, or is today bulk, that you can very quickly get to that? You can find it out now, but you may have a degree in computer science by the time you're done. And
Especially on an iPhone, if you're on, which most people use,
Right.
on
These
an
come
phone.
to that where they make it mobile optimization as well as,
Right.
Right.
not something online.
And I would guess that the software and code to do it, that it asks you, is your location when you're on your phone where your house is? And you say, yes, I'm at home. And it says, okay, today, tomorrow is, whatever, because they know your location already. And so you know what district. You don't need to type that in. That could be very easily added. Well, obviously it wouldn't necessarily work on the computer, because I don't know how well the computer knows where you are, but they seem to know also. So, and you can ask people, do you know, is this where are you in District 2? Yep. And then boom, it tells you, to make it as simple and as quick as possible, because usually when people want to know that information, they're on their way to work and they wonder, do I put out the green one today or the black one? And they need a quick answer, boom, and then roll it out and go off to do their other business. So that would be one. The other one that's been a long one for me is, as much, I don't mean huge quantities, but helpful information for for landscaping and tree stuff, so that if somebody says, I want to do some more native plants, I want to reduce or maybe not even native plants, but my objective is to reduce my irrigation bill, or my objective is to mow less, or my objective is more butterflies, or whatever, that it quickly gets you to not just links to other stuff, but actually a little bit of stuff that's right there that's applicable to Lake Worth. And so people, that there's some people say, wow, I went to the site and I got a bunch of useful information. I think that would be helpful. The third one, that's just sort of an overall philosophy, that government gets a bad name as, oh yeah, government, those are the people that tell me what to do. I don't like them. They're always telling me what to do. You can't do this, you can do that, you can't do this. to the extent that we can add as a philosophy, the reason why you can't pave your whole front in cement is because we have a lot of runoff. We have high intensity rainfalls. It's predicted to get even higher. That overloads our storm drain, causes local flooding. That's why we have a rule about how much floor area ratios or how much impervious area you can have. A sentence or two that explains why that rule is there can make it a lot more acceptable to people. Okay, they didn't just come up with a rule for the heck of it. I think that as a philosophy on the website could be helpful to keep that in mind.
Yes, and this goes into, and I've been, people don't know what's in, like, if I inherit, let's say I inherit an empty lot. How am I supposed to know that I have to report that empty lot to the city on a yearly basis that it's empty? And there's no way to find that out. And this happened to a client of mine. She didn't know about it. It was something else. It was a rental license thing. And all of a sudden you've got this, giant fine that you're now facing. So in terms of, good government and information, I agree with you. I think that we need to be, I've been looking for a booklet. Maybe it can be on the website if you own property in the city.
Or both.
Right, of course. Yeah, of course. And I mean, which brings up in my mind, and I don't want to forget it, that whole thing about the vacant properties and how much we're charging for that. I think we need to really look at that and revamp that. It goes from, like, in 5 years, you're paying $750 a year to tell the city that you've got a vacant property. And I know we need the money, but I think that's.
I've gotten a lot of complaints on that too.
Yeah.
And I agree. We need to look at it. What is our objective with this policy? Is this a reasonable way? We want government, Lake Worth government, to be something that Lake Worth residents feel good about. If they know that, this is the objective and this is how we're accomplishing it, okay, maybe. But I think that one, I agree. And thank you for bringing it up because I'd forgotten. Let's look at it.
And also just how, again, education, how do I know if let's say I buy a store and it's empty, how do I know? Why would I even think to go to this labyrinth of an ordinance to find out that I should pay to report it? I think when you buy a piece of property, we don't know when people, when things turn hands, but like when you get a rental license, I really still want, there's a little pamphlet out right now, but what you can and cannot do as a landlord, as a tenant, to own property in the city of Lake Worth. And
agreed.
I think that's helpful, so we're all talking about kind of this. And when you get down to the bottom of it, globally, it's education. It's letting people know what the rule is. And I agree. Why is, we're not just making this stuff up because we're nuts and we're evil. Give them a reason. And I don't disagree. But again, this is something that would take a lot of work. And it maybe if we are willing to spend time, each one of us take a little piece of it and write what we think, because we're loading up on staff a big job, which, God bless them, they're wonderful. But I think we should bear that in mind as we talk about this stuff, that maybe we could help. We're all busy. So I just think that I don't disagree with you, but I think we need to figure out a way to do it. And maybe the PIO, maybe talking to them about the website is a start. Well,
Mr. Brown, is that the PIO's job?
I'm sorry?
I'm just asking Mr. Brown if it's PIO's job.
I don't know what the PIO is.
We have a webmaster, so I'll be talking to IT, which is the department the webmaster resides in. But yeah, that would be coordination with the PIO as well, to see if there's additional information we should be adding to there.
Yeah, a lot.
Again, she just started not too long ago, so
Right.
We're kind of getting caught up. Thanks.
Sure. But I think, maybe with the websites kind of starts this whole question of getting information out to the people about what's going, what they need to do, how they need to behave.
It's like the
proactively rather than reactively.
The thing at the hatch tonight. So if I click on our website,
Okay.
The first thing it says is there's a Halloween yard decorating contest. It's September 6th. Halloween's October 31st. I'm sure there's a few things happening before that. You know, that should not be the cover of our page,
Okay,
you know, but tonight there's something at the Hatch and there's something going on all the time, you know, where's the calendar? Where's that kind of stuff? Like nothing says welcome to Lake Worth Beach. We're clean and green, you know, I
Yeah.
don't know.
yeah, I'm looking at but it is. And then we have a picture of careers and jobs of someone that hasn't worked for the city for over a year.
Exactly.
Building, it goes building permits, city, beach and parking, garbage and recycling.
Yeah, not what I'd be first looking for. How about what's going on in the city? Like,
Yeah.
let's brag about our city
I'm looking
here. Let's get people visiting. Let's, you know, why should you even come here? I know it's for residents, but it's also for,
Oh, absolutely. And why is Municode off the thing? I don't even understand that.
I don't know where that would go. So yeah,
Well, down the bottom,
beat a dead horse. I think they've heard us.
how do I apply for? How do I? Yeah, this needs work.
I would think, although I don't know that I'm accurate on it, but I would think that the webmaster might have some indication of what are the things that most get clicked on. So we might have some sort of data on what are people mostly looking for, and maybe beef those up a little bit more if needed.
Mhm.
It may not be a very comprehensive, because obviously if there are things on there that people want, but they're not on there, they're not going to get clicked on. So it's only one source of information. I think we can give some guidance on other things. You know, Commissioner May has correctly said that it should be easy to find out soon scheduled. It's wonderful that October 31st is on, but I can't disagree. I'll bet there's other things happening between now and the 31st of October.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that they hear us.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Do we have anything from staff?
I did
No,
have,
ma'am.
oh, sorry.
Oh, good.
I did have two things. I just wanted to let Commissioner May know that Melissa spoke with William and the presentation is going to be like you requested. It will be uploaded next week. So it will have a breakdown of all of the departments and who does what. So I wanted you to know that that was forthcoming. And secondly, we are also working on finding someone to do a parliamentary procedures class to go over Robert's Rules of Order and whatnot.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay,
And Elizabeth has her hand raised.
I
I'm
do.
sorry, Elizabeth, hi.
Thank you. Hi. So we've had some changes in meeting schedules, so I need to redo an announcement for you about the attorney-client session that we're requesting because we have to change the date. So city attorney desires advice from the commission concerning pending litigation, specifically regarding settlement negotiations and strategy related to the litigation expenditures in the case of Joseph Vieira versus City of Lake Worth Beach, case number 50/2019 CA 001457, and is requesting an attorney-client session to be scheduled for September 17th at 5 p.m. Estimated length of the attorney-client session will be approximately 45 minutes. This session will be attended by members of the city, Mayor Betty Resch, Vice Mayor Sarah Malega, Commissioners Christopher McVoy, Mimi May, and Ronaldo Diaz, Interim City Manager Jamie Brown, City Attorney Glenn Torsivia, and outside counsel Forrest Andrews, Steve Johnson, and Carlos DeZayas. A certified court reporter will be present to ensure the session is fully transcribed, and the transcript will be made public upon the conclusion of the ongoing litigation.
Is it currently set for a different date?
It was originally set, we talked about for the 19th, but then the meeting for the 19th got canceled.
Okay,
So we've moved it to the 17th.
Thank you.
okay,
Thank
Any problems with that? I don't see a problem with that. It's 5 before the regular meeting.
Correct.
Right.
Trying to make it as easy as possible for you.
Right, because the other one was just, that was all that was there. Okay, thank you. And I know you're going to come to us with a brilliant solution to the legislation on homeless. I mean, we can't let them, I mean, as I mean, the statute says we can't let them sleep there. It's just so horrible.
Yeah, so we've been working with the sheriff's office. I know Mr. Brown said that the new Captain Karn is going to come and talk with us on the 17th. We've been working with them. We have been looking at the ordinances that the city already has in place for this type of enforcement and working on making some changes to that to propose to you to help solidify what the city can do. So that'll all be coming to you.
A couple of months ago, the mayor of Palm Beach County, Maria Sachs, had a meeting of the mayors about this situation, and we all were kind of excited about it because, you know, the county was coming forward, and they're the ones that are going to have to do this thing. So we have a place to bring these people. Nothing. She was the new mantra is housing first. Get them in housing first. Okay, and no solutions, no ideas, no. And then I think she wants to have another meeting in October. And I want to say to her, listen, if you don't have if the county's not saying this is what we're doing to alleviate the homeless problem in the cities, I'm not going to spend my morning listening to you say housing first. You're the people that have to come up with a plan because we do not have the resources to open up a homeless shelter with medical and everything else. So I don't know.
And under the legislation, it is the county's responsibility to find
Right.
and establish these places.
Right. And we're not hearing much
Right.
from anybody about it. So that's a little discouraging. Anything else, anybody? It's almost time to leave anyway. I just had the thing about the hatch and also the principals and looking at the empty lot registration, things like that. So we can, I think if we have consensus, to have consensus to look at that empty lot, empty building legislation. Okay, Mimi? I think it was a yes, but she's muted.
Yeah.
She's the strong silent type.
No, the school announcements are going on. I'm sure you don't need to hear what's going on here.
Fascinated.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
You miss a
All right,
day,
well-
you miss a lot. That's okay.
Say it again?
You miss a day, you miss a lot.
Well, that's true.
Yes.
Okay, so when is there was a deadline for us to put stuff on the March. Is that come and gone? One thing I thought about, and I'm just throwing it out there, not even to talk about it, just a thought, you know, we did the charter amendment, we did the charter change about term limits, and I'm not backing down, but I'm wondering if we were a little too harsh with 2 3-year terms.
Agreed.
I think and now having the experience of, you know, we had a kind of a tumultuous first term with no city, you know, the city manager stuff and everything, but I'm thinking, and technically, you know, I could run for a 3rd term if I wanted to. It wouldn't affect me at all. But if we shouldn't think about making that either 3-year terms, looking at that again, because 6 years, the first, as we all know, Mimi, you're the one to be able to address this most recently. Is,
Yeah.
you know, what happens when you get elected? I mean, you've been in now for a couple months. What'd you do? Yeah, like, what have you learned? I mean, so I just think I would like for us to consider looking at that, even if it's not this year, the year after, something for because I think 3-year terms would be more useful, because you're just getting started in a project, and then you're gone. So we'll see. But I just want people's thoughts about that at some point. So so think about that, and I might bring it up. Other than that, have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
I was very glad to see that art was recovered.
Yes.
Kudos to the sheriff's department.
Yes.
I don't know how they did that, but that was amazing. I never thought Gary was gonna see that stuff again, and they got it, and it was wonderful. So kudos. So,
All right, well, we'll see you guys at the hatch.
we're getting first announcements now. Okay, anything else before we go? We can just leave a couple minutes early.
I'm good.
All right,
Good.
Chris? All right,